came along was by a guy called Mike Stewart. Lots of people claim that the wooden shoe was made by them. Dr. Mike Stewart ran a veterinary clinic in a poor part of Oklahoma, and of course he's got cheap labour there, and he's got horses that had laminitis. And one of the things he saw laminitic horses do was, if there was anything like a bale of straw or something kicking around, they'd go and stand with the front feet on it, rocking backwards. So he thought, well, maybe if I just make a wooden block and do the same thing. And so he did that, but also decreased the ground surface as well. So again, back to leverage reduction. He understood about leverage reduction on laminitics. And as he decreased the ground surface and he had a roll off at the toe, he found that they could turn easier. And so he was attaching these using casting material, using screws and glue. That was the Mark 1, so that was made completely out of wood. And it was because it was a cheap product. It had loads of scrap wood kicking around, plywood. Problem we have in our country is that because it's quite wet, even using marine ply, it does delaminate. So somebody made some from urethane, and these can be nailed on, screwed on, glued on, or put on with casting tape. And we use again the same problem of filling the back part of the foot behind any of the painful areas, and we fill that up with sole support material or dental impression material. Also, there's been a recess around the painful areas around the sole put into there to stop sole pressure. And because this is fairly cheap, soft urethane, you can use a rasp to modify them. So if they're having trouble turning one way, you could maybe roll that off with a rasp. If they're hitting the back part of the foot on the ground too fast, perhaps increase the roll off on there. The only bit that you can't affect is the stance phase. So we can affect the landing and leaving and turning sideways from it. This has been a very useful product. Going on from that one, but looking at the original thing, we have a wood, and this is flooring, it's EVA flooring that's on the bottom, and this gives the horse the allowance to be able to modify it to its own comfort level. So if a horse wants to have its heels raised a little bit, what it'll do is to crush the toe down, and yet the heels will still be raised slightly. As the pull on the deep flexor tendon diminishes, then they'll start to fold this and wear this down and crush this down flat. The bottom of this, because we're able to manufacture these now, has a frog insert on it, again using dental impression material, and also it's got a seated out area around the painful areas of the foot. Even cleverer, it has a leather rim right the way around the outside for the hoof wall to rest on, and this has got a slight inward chamfer to it, so that when the horse's foot is placed on it, it will shrink slightly onto the clog. Now, we've got an unstable internal structure, and so what we're doing by putting this on is to make it more stable. So just the fact of shrinking it slightly and stopping it moving, and then adding screws or casting tape or glue to it, so you can glue it, screw it, or use casting tape to put it on, seems to be that you increase the load between the casting tape and the hoof wall. But by doing that and shrinking it onto there, you actually decrease the shear forces between the hoof wall and the pedal bone, and so that way you're actually decreasing the internal damage and allowing the horse to move around much more comfortably, and also allowing it to heal.